Tell you what, people, she sees my camera go up and now she wants to be all about the show. She never wanted to do it before. She didn't like it when I aimed a camera in her face, and now she's all about it. She probably thinks she's trying to save me from talking to myself. I don't know, but now she's all up in it. So just say hi. Hi, I'm Precious, and this is my mama Connie, and this is Precious Plushies. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming back. If you're a returning viewer, and if you're new, it's a crazy world I live in, a crazy head I have, but you're more than welcome to come and just kind of watch what I say and do. I might make you laugh. I might make you leave. I'm not sure, but I'm going to try to give you some information, try to make it an enjoyable time, and try to just give you some hints. Right now, or today, what I wanted to go over was all these different things, all these different, I guess it's just things I learned as I started getting in the plushie. Because like I think I've told you before, I've been in the business of crochet. I've been crocheting since I was like 19. It's been like 30 years that I've been crocheting. So, but it's only been since March of 2025 that I had been, not even a full year yet, that I have been making and selling plushies. So as long as you know how to do some stitches, you can just do about anything. And once you learn it, it's not hard. It seems hard at first for a lot of people, just because you're not used to holding that hook. You're not used to, doing the loops or whatever it may be. You'll hear us talk about tension a lot. Usually when you first start out, your tension's more than likely probably going to be tight, because you're thinking you have to get it, and you have to do it just so tight and everything when you don't. But it's usually either too tight or too loose. And that's where a lot of people run into problems. But I ran into some problems too, just because I didn't know, or I was learning on the go. And I thought, well, maybe if I tell people about the problems I had, maybe they won't experience it. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. One of the first things that just really caught me off guard was I heard people start talking about having a dispute sometimes about yarn over and yarn under. And I thought, what? I don't understand. You put your hook in, put the yarn over it, you pull it through. What's this yarn under thing? I mean, it's always yarn over. I don't get it. That's how I was taught, was that you go in yarn over, and that's all it is yarn over. And when you're doing granny squares or Afghans or anything like that, it's yarn over. There's no dispute. And I don't know how somebody figured it out, came up with it, or if it's always been there and we just realized, I don't know. But yarn over, if you look at the two different yarn over, look at something you yarn over with and something you yarn under with, yarn under makes it tighter, does make it a bit smaller, but it makes it look nicer, I guess. I think it looks more uniform, or you can see the stitches and right where the lines are and everything, and you can just see it. But when people first started talking about it, I was like, you're crazy. I want it to look bigger, because if it looks bigger, I can put more money on it if I put more time into it, blah 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 blah. And and it looks fine to me, and I didn't really think there was any useful reason to do yarn under, because it was just smaller and blah blah blah. Well, I yarn under all the time now. I don't do yarn over anymore. I started training myself to do yarn under, so sometimes I could do it if I really had to. And then I was just like, why am I fighting this? Why am I fighting this? This is actually the better way to do it, in my opinion. There's still going to be people out there going, no, you were right the first time. To each their own. But I'm telling you right now, it looks nicer. And I say it's smaller. It's minuscule. It's really not, it doesn't look bad. And it's not so small that you're like, oh, I can't get this $10 for this thing that everybody else can, because it's a little bit smaller. It's not like that. It's not like that. It's just more, it looks neater. It looks nicer, more precise. So now I am doing the yarn under. You can teach an old dog new tricks. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. I kind of hit on this in one of my other videos, but this is a perfect time, I think, to do this when I'm talking about tips and tricks and what to avoid. Don't buy all the gadgets. There's a lot of gadgets out there. And some of them, if you want to try them, that's fine. Use other gadgets, because whatever. But there's one YouTuber on here that I started watching at the very beginning, at least. And she does a lot of the comparisons. She'll buy a whole bunch of different gadgets and test them all out and tell you what her opinion is or what she thinks and show you how it worked and everything. And that's a really good, a good thing that she does. I was watching one of her videos, and she was talking about storage for yarn and yarn bits or eyes or whatever it was. And somebody had wrote in and said, hey, I use the Clorox wipe containers. Because in 2020, you know, we all have the Clorox wipes. Well, start using the same one, the same, you know, container over and over again until you get rid of them. Wash it out real good. Dry it out real good. You might have to do that a couple times. And then you have got a container for anything you want to put in there. And you can put wrapping paper. You can crochet a little cylinder to go around it. You can use contact paper. I haven't done anything to this yet. I just started using it, and I got busy and I didn't have the time to make anything for it. So it will be covered one of these days, just not right this second. But it's the perfect thing. And what I use it for, another hint, is every time I get done sewing and I'm cutting off the ends, like I put it through the, I'll pull it through the, whatever I'm working on at the time, you know, a couple times, and then I'll cut off that little end. And it might be a small end. It might be kind of long end. But no matter how long or small, I put them all in here. And then I use this to stuff or put in my plushies, because that saves me on putting some, not as much foam in there or filler in there. And it also is using it for a good, something good. And if you touch a plushie that you put some yarn in, it's softer. And the filling does get, how do I want to pack down, I guess, after a while, and it can make it so the plushie isn't as full as it was when you first started, because over time it gets played with, touched, all that, and it just I don't know, settles, I guess. This stuff helps it to not do it so fast, because it's just yarn in there, and I think it's softer. But anyhow, that's how you can do something good for yourself and not lose money by just throwing it away. And I was throwing away ends all the time until she brought that up, and I thought, that's a great idea. So that's something I've learned. Another thing I've learned is if you are using safety eyes, then you know that sometimes it's not good for babies because they could pull it out. Well, they can also be pulled in, meaning they can fall into the plushie. And I've had that happen a few times. So to prevent it from being pulled out so easy by a child, or to fall into the project so that never to be seen again, I use felt on the back of my the backings. Right before I put the backing on, I put the ear. Let's start again. So what I do is I put the eye through the hole, I put some felt on the back, and then I put the back on, and it works really well. Someone wants love. Hello, darling. Okay, so I have been cutting up pieces of felt in it. Honestly, it was tedious. I was like, I'm getting tired of doing this all the time. So I just went and bought, I think it was on Amazon. I don't use them as much anymore because they started late deliveries and getting expensive. And I'm like, that neither one of those work for me. I canceled my Prime membership. So now I'm just, whenever I have to use it, I do. And I think that's where I got these. But I just got these little circles. They're perfect. They're the perfect size. I don't have to cut them. And what I do is I just fold them in half, use my scissors to cut just a cut, and then it just fits right on the back of an eye. So just little circles that I got at Walmart, that I got at Amazon, and it works perfectly for what I needed it for. So that's another quick hint, and it does help with the backs of eyes so that they can't be pulled out easily as well. Another one of my hints would be, I was not into the magic circle at all. I didn't understand it. I couldn't get it. I watched 4 or 5 videos of different ways to do it, and I don't know why. I just did not get it. And if you don't want to use the magic circle, you can chain 2 and use the first circle or first chain to do all your single crochets or what have you into. I never did that because I just didn't want to do that. And you can do that for Chanel too, because I guess Chanel can break so easily and you can't get the magic circle closed always. So they talk about using that for Chanel a lot. So what I did was I just sat down, watched the video over and over and over again until I finally got it. And it's not now it's like, you know, second nature. What I don't like is when I have to do a chain 5, single crochet down, and I don't know why, but I don't like it. It makes the nicest snouts and muzzles and things like that, and I understand why you should use that instead of the circle, because it makes it a circle instead of an oval. I get it, but I don't like it. But I do it because I got to do it. But when it comes to the magic circle, don't shy away. Watch it over and over and over again until you get it, because I'm telling you, it's not hard. It's not. You can pick it up, and once you've got it, you've got it. You can use that for just about anything. Just about anything. And if you're like me, you have a few whips hanging around and you haven't got to them, you've started them and put them aside, and or got interested in something else, or need to get to an order and you just haven't got back to them, and you got, you know, a few. I've got 5 or 6 now, I think. Until I look through my yarn stash, and I'm sure I've got a couple that are non-completed in there too. I need to look through, and I just haven't had the time. But one thing that I've learned is I just take a piece of paper, just a scrap piece of paper. I put on a 5.5 mm row 5, or starting row 5, ending row 5, or whatever that, and then I just stick that with it, and I'll sometimes put what kind of yarn I'm using, because I'll even forget that sometimes because they're so similar, and I'll just be like, and what yarn I use, and I'll just stick it like in like I have a body over there of an animal, no head. I stuck it on, and I've got all the filler in it, and I stuck it on the top, and now when I go back to it, I'll know what I need to use. So that's a good way to do it. People are coming out with stitch markers and stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, that tells you the hook size. It doesn't tell you what row you quit on, and you might not know unless you count all the way around and try to figure out which one you're on. And sometimes that can be off if you get off in the pattern. I'm one of those people that I count. Some people can do it without counting. Some people can do crochet without looking. I can't, because I don't want to miss something or do it wrong. And I will. I will. And I don't want to, if I don't count, I don't know if I'm doing it right, or if I've got the right count and everything. So I always count. And I would suggest that to everyone. Just make sure you follow the pattern until you get to a point where you're comfortable, and you might want to tweak a pattern. Like, I have a lot of times I'll use up somebody's pattern, but I don't like their feet, and I'll change the feet. Or I don't like the way their arms have to be sewn on, and I'll figure out a way to crochet them in. Because you can crochet feet and arms and things like that in to just about any plushie. You don't have to necessarily make them so that you have to sew them on. Now, there are some that you have to, but not all of them. And so that's one other thing I would say, is once you feel comfortable, then you can start doing those. I hope to also do some videos on how to read a pattern. I've had more than one person actually ask me that said, you know, I wanted to get into it, but I don't know how to read a pattern. And I remember that. I remember when I first started, and I was just like, what the heck are all these letters, and what's all those X's, and what's all these parentheses around it? What does that mean? Why do they have that? And now it's second nature, because I've done enough of them, I've learned. But what I tell people is make a list of your own. Make a list of your own. Because most patterns they're supposed to be all the same, but they're not. But they pretty much are. Everybody knows SC is single crochet. DC is double crochet. So once you know the stitches and their names, then when you see a pattern, you know what they're talking about. So two single crochet. You're going to do two, one and then two. And one in one stitch, one in the next. Increase. You're going to do 2 single crochets, and it increases INC. Decreases DEC. So just start writing down some of the ones that you don't know, or that you do know but you want to remember, and just have them sitting next to you so that when you are trying to read a pattern, you'll know what you're looking at, and you'll kind of figure it out on your own. If you need, but I will help. That's why I said I'm probably going to do a video on it, so I can teach people, because I want to help in any way I can. Frogging. First time I heard it, I thought, what the heck are they talking about? Frogging. Frogging is just ripping out your stitches. And when you're frogging, you're ripping them. So if you rip them, it's like what a frog sounds like. Rip it. So yeah, we rip it. So frogging is just the fact that I didn't have enough stitches in there. I got to go back and figure out where I messed up on a row or whatever. Frogging, it's not bad. I've heard people say before, oh, I don't want to frog it, or oh, I had to go back and frog that whole thing. And it's not, I don't see it as a bad thing. I just see it as another time to make it better than it was the first time. That's the way I have to look at it, or else I probably go crazy with as many times that I've had to frog. So yeah, don't let it affect you that way. And I think one of the last things I'll leave with you on this video is that um, I've noticed that there are U.S. terms and U.K. terms, and be careful because what double crochet in U.S. terms means isn't the same as what it is in U.K. terms. I don't know why we don't have a universal language for this, for crochet, and why the terms have the same name but mean something different. I don't understand that. So, but just make sure when you're reading a pattern or you get a pattern and you're doing it, you know if it's U.S. terms or UK terms. So you do the right thing basically. And I'm not in the mood most of the time to want to learn UK terms, and I'm not going to try to learn a whole pattern of UK terms. So I just stay with US terms. So I think it's about that time. Someone's been kind of telling me she's hungry and it's time for supper. And I got all kinds of things I got to get done tonight. So I guess I'll leave you tonight. Hey, and let her bite me, I guess. So I guess that's what I'll leave you with today. I hope I gave you some valuable information. If you have any questions or have anything that you would like me to focus on, please leave me a comment and let me know. I'm doing what I believe that I would want to hear, but I don't know what you want to hear. And I'm more than happy to give you the information that you're willing to hear. Just got to let me know what that is. So I think my little one here and I will go and have some supper. And I guess she's going to be my permanent co-host. I hope that's okay with you because I can't really stop her. I don't really want to be mean and stop her from sitting with her mommy if she wants to. So I guess she'll be my co-host. So we'll say tonight, switch it. Take all those negative thoughts, turn them into positive ones. Be kind to yourself, and thank you for coming back. Have a great evening. Bye. Say bye. Bye.